Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight, Windsor's budget might not come with as big of a tax hike as originally proposed. Plus, could panhandling be banned in Windsor? City Council to discuss that during a big meeting Monday night. If you're looking to rent in Windsor, the hunt for something available might be tough. We'll give you the lay of the land. And a Windsor driver is gearing up for a 24-hour endurance race. We'll hear from him tonight. City Council spent the week trying to trim down your tax bill. A committee was able to find savings in the proposed budget. Now, if passed, it'll soften the blow to taxpayers. The committee chair tells Del Molnar they were able to make the changes without affecting services.
It was a complete group effort. We did it together.
All 10 city councilors as a budget committee met for 4 days and unanimously agreed to $2.8 million in savings, bringing the amount of the budget increase down from $23 million to about $21 million. That reduces the tax hike from 5.23% to 4.59%. Budget Committee Chair Fred Francis says they did it by trimming down requests in individual corporate accounts, for example, for maintenance.
So they might have been asking for 100,000. Instead of 100,000, we would give 50,000. In some cases, they're asking for 50,000. We provided 25,000. So we're able to find those reductions in those accounts for maintenance moving forward that never existed before or were additions to current maintenance accounts.
They were also able to cut a budget request of about $900,000 from Transit Windsor in half by filling the gap with money from provincial gas tax.
So the entire 900,000 and change doesn't hit the tax levy, only half of it does, and the rest hits the gas tax, with the hope that in future years ridership increases.
The committee was also able to avoid a charge for the rodent control program. Businesses will be able to put out patios on sidewalks and in parking spots in front of their establishments without charge, and the time for paid parking will not be extended past 6 p.m. That makes the owners of this nightclub happy.
It would have been detrimental if they were making them pay, because we have a lot of people that you see that come after 6 and a lot of people that come from outside of Windsor that they're very happy and that they don't have to pay.
Council was also able to dip into reserves to cover a modest increase in the health unit budget, but about 1.5% of the budget increase comes from agencies, boards, and committees. So Council will be looking for more savings from them.
The feeling from the committee was it is unfair to ask only city administration and city departments to bear the brunt of reductions and not carry that same expectation over to the ABCs, the agencies, boards, and committees.
The mayor will now have a look at ways to trim and will be talking to councillors for ideas on how to do that. City Council still has to approve a finalized budget. That will happen on April 3rd. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
We're gearing up for a very important City Council meeting Monday. There are 2 major issues coming forward. A motion to scrap the drug consumption and treatment site in Windsor, which we've been looking into all week, and a report on banning panhandling. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa joins me now live in studio for more on this. So Jen, let's start with the drug consumption site. The latest we heard was that the downtown councillor has put forward a motion to ask council to find a new location for the site. So what's the latest?
Yeah, well, that's gotten some pushback. So 3 councillors, Jim Morrison, Fabio Costante, and Kieran McKenzie, spoke out today to say that this motion would be a huge setback, especially as more people continue to die in our community from opioid overdoses. The councillors called attention to the issue outside of where the site is supposed to be located. That's at 101 Wyandotte Street East, which is currently under renovation. And applications to open the site are waiting approval from the provincial and federal governments. Ward 3 Councillor Ronaldo Augustino put forward the motion, which suggests that council scrap its approval of the site and look into changing the location or making it a mobile service. But this threatens to significantly delay the process, which has already taken almost 6 years.
The location debate just delays everything, and at the same time, people are dying. And in 2021, 86 people died in Windsor from opioid overdoses. And I've seen where it can save lives, and this really bothers me that we're going to allow that to happen, to let people die just because of a location. No location is going to be perfect.
Despite this, someone who formerly used IV drugs tells us they don't think a site will be useful.
Have you walked around downtown Windsor? It's littered with drug paraphernalia, used syringes, and I don't think this is going to have any effect on that. It's still going to go on everywhere in the city. I was an IV drug user in my past, yes. I haven't in 12 years. But to be honest, if it was around then, I would never have come.
And late this afternoon, harm reduction organization Positive Pathways, who has partnered with the health unit on the site, put out a petition. They're encouraging people to sign it to advocate against the motion. The full agenda for Monday's meeting also just came out, and it shows that dozens of people have signed up to speak on this issue.
And on Monday, Council will also look at a report that explores the possibility of banning panhandling. And that's something that Mayor Dilkens actually campaigned on.
Yes, Kat. So that report is basically going to look to see whether or not a bylaw preventing panhandling in the city would be possible. People who panhandle say they don't do it because they want to.
I don't really like doing this. I think it's disgusting, but I have to have something in my stomach. I have to have some money for me. I'm a person, I'm a human being. I mean, as you can see, I'm not asking for 1,000, 100, 200, 1 million. Whatever they give me, I appreciate.
City administration looked into this back in 2014, and nothing was done following that report. They're doing it again at the request of Councillor Fred Francis, who says he's going to put forward a motion on creating a bylaw on Monday. It's something Mayor Drew Dilkens supports. Panhandling is protected under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but a possible way around a legal challenge, according to administration, is to instead regulate the way that the panhandling is being done. So administration points to an example in Vancouver, which has a bylaw that prevents aggressive panhandling. This includes someone who is blocking a path of the person being asked for money, or following them, using abusive language, or continuing to ask for money after being turned down. That bylaw also says that people cannot sit or lie in the street if it disrupts pedestrians. Administration says this bylaw stood up against a legal challenge, but I spoke with Richard Moon, a University of Windsor law professor, and he says that just because this was approved in Vancouver, it doesn't mean it will legally stand in Ontario. The downtown mission tells me there needs to be more services to support those on the streets.
Individuals do need help. So I think part of what we need to do as a community is look to ways to make sure these individuals are getting the help they need. Whether it be coming, I mean, we're seeing so many more people at our food bank right now than we ever had before.
City Council starts at 4 p.m. on Monday, and we'll be following these issues to bring more updates.
Thanks for this, Jen. The rental market in Windsor is tighter than ever. A new study shows the availability of units has hit an all-time low, while prices continue to rise. The rental market report released this week uses data from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. It shows the vacancy rate dipped to a record low of 1.8% in October. At the same time, the average cost of a two-bedroom rental unit rose to nearly $1,200 a month. That's an increase of 3.9%. Experts say these trends have a lot to do with higher interest rates, making homes less affordable, so renters are staying put. Memphis, Tennessee, and all of the United States are waiting for the release tonight of a police video and what reaction it brings. It will show the events leading up to a black man's death, a death in which 5 officers on duty that afternoon are charged with second-degree murder. The CBC's Cameron McIntosh reports.
Justice for Tyree! Justice for Tyree!
So far, the memorials and demonstrations have been peaceful, but Memphis is bracing for outrage with the imminent release of the video of the police beating of Tyree Nichols, his family preemptively calling for calm.
We do not want any type of uproar. We do not want any type of disturbance. We want peaceful protests.
Speaking this afternoon, Nichols' family had little to say about the video, which has been described as cruel and inhumane. Nichols, a 29-year-old father, died in hospital 3 days after being pulled over for alleged reckless driving. An altercation happened. Police beat, tased, and pepper sprayed him. 5 officers have been fired, charged with second-degree murder, accused of brutality against a black man. The officers are also black.
Justice for Tyree. Justice for Tyree.
The family and their lawyers are lauding the quick charges while insisting this become the new standard in police brutality cases, regardless of the officer's race.
It doesn't matter if the officer is a black officer, a Hispanic officer, or a white officer. It is the culture that allows them to think they can do this to Tyree.
As for the video, the Memphis police chief warns,
you're going to see acts that defy humanity. You're going to see a disregard for life.
It's not just Memphis on edge. In Washington, the Capitol building is being fenced off. President Biden saying he expects outrage. Nichols' mother insisting the family wants change.
I just want to ask for prayer for my family, for this whole community.
The timing of the release is all about the expected anger, the idea that putting it out on a Friday night, people will already be home from work or school and less likely to get caught up in whatever might happen. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Washington.
Windsor's chief of police offered his condolences to family and friends of Tyree Nichols today, saying, quote, "I was saddened and appalled by what happened, and on behalf of everyone at the Windsor Police Service, I unequivocally condemn the actions of the officers involved." He also addressed the potential for protests in Windsor, asking people who may demonstrate to, quote, "not jeopardize public peace, endanger others, or purposefully participate in illegal acts." Windsor Essex Pride Fest is launching a community needs assessment survey.
It's very important. We need to know how they feel. We need to know what they need in order to move forward with different programming and activities and all the other cool stuff that we do.
The survey will help shape the services Pride Fest offers. It's funded through the Ontario Trillium Foundation. The project will include focus groups to collect data on what the community needs so the group can move forward with programming.
This is a year-long project, so it'll eventually end in June or July with a full report on all the statistics of what we gathered. And that report comes with an action plan where we're going to actually go into the community and meet with all these agencies and find out, okay, so here's the need, who can best fix these needs with the community, and this agency say, yes, I can do that. That's where we make an action plan. Because normally with all these kinds of surveys, when they get the report, it just sits on a desk and nothing happens with it. We're trying to make it different where there's actually actions happening.
A former member of Justin Trudeau's cabinet is questioning the government's dedication to fighting harassment and abuse in sports. She says when she was a minister, before scandals put a spotlight on the issue, the government showed little interest. The CBC's Devin Haru has the story.
Speaking exclusively to CBC News, former Sport Minister Kirsty Duncan says there was a climate of resistance on sport policy she was introducing, both from Liberal colleagues and sport officials. And she says she faced pushback when she made tackling abuse a top priority.
I will not stand idly by while there are athletes, children and young people hurting in this country. And I do not accept the status quo. And if I do not push for an inquiry, it means accepting the status quo, and I will not be complicit.
Duncan introduced a number of safe sport measures as sport minister in 2018 and 2019, including a helpline and a third-party investigation unit. She was not reappointed to cabinet by Trudeau after the 2019 election. Duncan says she felt her safe sport initiatives were not given the attention they deserved after she left office. Trudeau dropped the position of sport minister at the time and folded those responsibilities into the heritage minister's portfolio. Stephen Guilbeault was a minister at the time. A senior government source acknowledges other priorities required more attention, including how sports organizations should respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The source also said they totally understand Duncan's claim that more could have been done to move forward on safe sport initiatives. Duncan is frustrated.
I don't think people understood the problem. There wasn't a lot of interest in Parliament. I asked what we were doing, And I was told that we had to stop this safe sport stuff and get back to what sport was really about. My answer was, so not protecting children?
Current Sport Minister Pascal St-Onge was asked about Duncan's claim that the government isn't doing enough to protect athletes in the country.
I can tell you that we're taking it extremely seriously. That's why we've invested $16 million in the last budget just to create the Office of the Sport Integrity Commissioner, because we felt it was so important to have that independent mechanism.
Duncan believes a public inquiry to unearth what she calls sports' dirty secrets around physical and sexual abuse is the only way forward now. Devin Haru, CBC News, Toronto.
Live look outside there. The snow really coming down right now, and we have more flurries on the way. They're in the forecast every day until Monday. Colette Kennedy will be here after the break, and we will take a look at our weekend together. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is here now for a look at our local weather forecast. And Colette, we got more snow to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We have a few things here because we've got the light snow this evening, and then we're going to have kind of an interesting situation Sunday. What I mean by that is the temperature profile may mean it's more of a rain-snow mix that we get into. So let me take you through all of this. The light snow this evening, 1 centimeter or 2, and then it kind of tapers off to flurries through the overnight hours. There's what's happening now, and the timing on this, it's going to be quite late Saturday. So in terms of road conditions Saturday, things should be just fine, and then it's probably going to start to get a bit sloppy through the overnight Saturday and early on Sunday, and then we'll see improvement once again. The problem will be who ordered the deep freeze. I don't know, but maybe this guy. The problem will be is falling temperatures. So if we do get a bit of a mix and some melting in there, and then it freezes up, we get into some really icy and troublesome conditions there. So just looking at what's happening with the system tonight and the current readings that we're looking at, but these winds, boy, they're strong. These are just the sustained winds and showing you the direction, that south to southwesterly flow here. So it gives us the wind chill that we're experiencing, but that direction is important too because it's going to push the temperatures actually up a little bit through the overnight hours. It may feel quite cool right now, but we're going to come up to about 2 degrees. However, the winds are going to stay strong. These are the gusts, by the way, not the sustained winds that we're experiencing. By tomorrow morning, those will have backed off, but the temperature will have backed off again too, gone back down to -2, and with enough wind to give us a wind chill tomorrow morning of -6. So here's just some of this lighter stuff that's moving in, but it's pretty broad. It still extends back to western Michigan, so all that's got to make its way through. Most of that does happen through the next 3 hours or so. And then overnight, like I said, it'll just be some much lighter precipitation that we're going to see with scattered flurries. A chance for some sunny breaks tomorrow, more so further east, I would expect, but there's a chance early, and then the clouds fill right back in as this next system is approaching. So as it comes in, see how it's going to skim that temperature right around freezing or just above, so that much of the north shore of Lake Erie is probably going to be rain or a rain-snow mix. So that includes into Windsor, right on the borderline. It's still 2 days away, so we've got some time. This could change a little bit, but it gives you a bit of an idea. But if that happens, then we're not talking about accumulating snow, or we get 4 or 5 centimeters, then it gets all washed out anyway on top of that. Overnight tonight, that wind chill near -9, but as the winds back off, like I said, by about 8, I think we'd be looking at around -6 in terms of how it will feel. Saturday's daytime high -1. Sunday bringing that up and changing that precipitation over, but there it is on the backside. So those wet areas then freezing up could be really tricky with that much colder air. Look at those nights.
Oh, gosh.
Coming our way.
Looking forward to that. Thanks for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, a Windsor driver is about to hit the road at the Daytona International Speedway. The 21-year-old will be putting pedal to the metal. That story is coming right up. Stay with us. was a time when 25 cents would buy you a cup of coffee. For the last year in Vancouver, it's bought you the cup. It was a fee aimed at reducing what went into landfills. But now, as John Hernandez reports, calls for change are brewing.
It's another thirsty lunch rush in downtown Vancouver, and there's no shortage of disposable cups to be seen.
I have a vanilla bean frappuccino from Starbucks.
I do have a refillable one in my car, which I kind of forgot to take.
The Vancouver Cup bylaw, a 25-cent fee for disposable cups, has been in place since January of last year. The goal, to reduce the up to 82 million cups that have been estimated to enter city landfills annually. But critics and consumers say it isn't clear if it's changed buyer behavior.
It's kind of just an extra on top that I always just pay for. It's a bit of an inconvenience.
To be honest, 25 cents is like not really a lot, but you know, it definitely adds up.
Some members of City Council say it's been costly but not effective.
What we're hearing, of course, anecdotally at this stage, because we've just crossed that 1 year mark, is people are spending hundreds of dollars on these fees that add up.
Ken Sims' ABC Vancouver slate, which has a majority on City Council, has pledged to axe the fees this year.
What we've heard from the business community and residents is the cup fee just ain't working, that it's punitive. And so that's why we're committed to getting rid of this, the cup fee by this summer.
The Retail Council of Canada supports the move, saying the policy was costly for businesses from the start.
You had to have your system reprogrammed, not once in fact, but twice to charge the cup fee. And then you had to change menus, menu boards, platforms on delivery apps.
ABC Vancouver has pledged a more education-oriented approach to keep garbage out of landfills. Meanwhile, city staff say they're still assessing data to see just how effective the cup bylaw has been. Green councillors who were in favor of it are calling for patience to see what the numbers might say.
I would hope that they would, respect the staff process enough to allow them to report back. I know this report's coming in a matter of months.
A policy that's likely cost Vancouverites millions of dollars could soon be headed for the garbage bin. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Windsor's Roman DeAngelis is in for the ride of his life this weekend. The 21-year-old will be putting pedal to the metal at the Daytona International Speedway tomorrow. He's driving in a 24-hour endurance race with the Heart of Racing team. This is the car he'll be driving, a bit of a change from how he got his start. That was behind the wheel of go-karts at the age of 8. DeAngelis will share the road throughout the 24-hour race with more experienced drivers, part of a team he says he's proud to race with.
Obviously, when it comes to the experience side, I'm kind of with the most experienced lineup probably on the grid, with Marco, Darren, and Ian. All of them having done Le Mans, podiumed at Le Mans, had tons of experience in the IMSA Championship, which is what I'm competing in now, and just years of history and racing in general. So I'm definitely the underexperienced one, but I think having guys like that in the team with me and as co-drivers is a huge benefit.
His dad says this is a big moment for the family. Saturday's race is one they watch together at home.
We've been watching this race since he was a child. It's been always I've always kind of felt in my heart that he would get to, these races and get to Le Mans and, to experience, your son and, your children kind of, excel at this level on a global scale is quite interesting.
Good luck to Roman. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.